Hello, and welcome. It's good to have you here, wherever you are in this moment. Whatever weight you've carried through the hours that brought you to now. There are creatures on this earth who have perfected something we often struggle to find. A kind of slowness that isn't laziness, a patience that isn't waiting, and a longevity that unfolds across centuries rather than decades. They carry their homes on their backs, move through water and across land with an ancient rhythm, and teach us, simply by existing, that speed is not the measure of a life well lived. You can let your shoulders settle if you'd like. There's no urgency here, no place you need to be except where you already are. Perhaps you've come to the end of a long day, or you're seeking a quiet space between waking and sleep. Perhaps your mind is still turning over the tasks and thoughts that filled your hours, and you're looking for something gentle to guide you toward rest. That's perfectly fine. You're welcome here, in whatever state you arrive. If these journeys bring you comfort, you're welcome to return anytime. There will always be more to discover, more quiet corners of the natural world to explore together. So let's begin, slowly, with one of the most patient beings ever to walk this planet, the turtle, and all the remarkable truths hidden within its unhurried existence. Turtles belong to an order of reptiles called Testudines, a lineage that stretches back more than 200 million years. To put that in perspective, turtles were already ancient when the first dinosaurs began to walk the earth. They witnessed the rise of the great reptilian giants, and they outlasted them. While the world transformed around them through meteor strikes and ice ages and continental drift, turtles remained steady and unchanged in their essential form. Their body plan, that distinctive shell and slow gait, proved so successful that evolution saw little reason to alter it. This is not stagnation. This is perfection found early and maintained with patience. The shell itself, that dome of bone and keratin, is not something a turtle wears. It is something a turtle is. The shell is fused to the turtle's skeleton, integrated into its very structure. The top part, called the carapace, is formed from the turtle's ribs and vertebrae, which have expanded and flattened over evolutionary time, then fused together into a protective covering. The bottom part, the plastron, shields the belly. Together, they create a mobile fortress, a home that can never be left behind, never lost, never outgrown beyond the turtle's ability to carry it. Imagine that, being born into a sanctuary that grows with you, that becomes stronger as you age, that is as much a part of you as your own bones. There are over 300 species of turtles alive today, and they inhabit nearly every continent except Antarctica. Some live in oceans, crossing entire basins and migrations that span thousands of miles. Others live in freshwater rivers, ponds, and swamps, their days measured by the movement of the sun across the water surface. Still others are fully terrestrial, walking across deserts and forests with the same unhurried determination their ancestors showed millions of years ago. Each species has adapted to its environment, but all share that fundamental slowness, that refusal to rush. Consider the metabolism of a turtle. It operates at a pace that would seem impossibly slow to us, yet it is precisely calibrated for a long life. A turtle's heart beats far less frequently than ours. While a human heart at rest beats around 60 to 100 times per minute, a turtle's heart may beat only 10 to 40 times per minute, and in some species even less. During deep rest or brumation, a hibernation-like state, the heart rate can drop to just a few beats per minute. The turtle's entire system downshifts into a mode of profound conservation. Oxygen is used sparingly. Energy is hoarded and released in tiny, measured amounts. This is not an efficiency. This is mastery of resources. Their slow metabolism has a direct relationship with their longevity. Metabolic rate and lifespan are inversely related in many animals. Creatures that burn energy quickly tend to live shorter lives. Creatures that burn it slowly, like turtles, can live for decades, even centuries. The cells of a turtle are not in a constant state of frantic activity. They divide less often, repair themselves more carefully, accumulate damage more slowly. Time, for a turtle, moves at a different speed than it does for us. Not in perception perhaps, but in the biological clock that ticks within every cell. Some turtles live well beyond 100 years. The giant tortoises of the Galapagos Islands and the Aldabra Atoll routinely reach ages of over 150 years, and some individuals are believed to have lived past 200. There are tortoises alive today who were already adults when Charles Darwin visited the Galapagos in the 1830s. They have outlived entire human generations, witnessed the rise and fall of empires from their quiet islands, and continued, day by day, to move slowly through their worlds, eating, resting, basking in the sun. Jonathan, a Seychelles giant tortoise living on the island of St. Helena, is currently recognized as the oldest known living land animal. He hatched around 1832, which means he has been alive for more than 190 years. Think about that span of time. When Jonathan was young, the telegraph had not yet been invented. Photography was in its infancy. The world he was born into is unrecognizable compared to the one he inhabits now. And yet, he continues. His pace has not changed. His needs remain simple. Food, warmth, the company of other tortoises, the slow passage of days. What allows a turtle to live so long? Part of the answer lies in that slow metabolism. But there is more. Turtles have remarkably efficient systems for dealing with cellular damage. As animals age, their cells accumulate errors, damaged DNA, malfunctioning proteins, oxidative stress from the byproducts of metabolism. In most animals, these errors build up over time and contribute to aging and disease. Turtles, however, seem to manage this damage with unusual skill. Their cells repair DNA more effectively. They produce antioxidants that neutralize harmful molecules. Their immune systems remain relatively strong, even in old age. In some species, there is little sign of senescence, the gradual decline in function that characterizes aging in most animals. A turtle at 100 years old may be nearly as vigorous as one at 50. This phenomenon is sometimes called negligible senescence, and it fascinates scientists who study aging. If a turtle can live for a century or more without showing significant decline, what can we learn from that? What mechanisms are at work that might, one day, inform our understanding of human aging? The answers are still unfolding, but the turtle, patient as always, offers itself as a living laboratory, a testament to the possibility of a long, slow, steady life. Turtles are ectothermic, which means they rely on external sources of heat to regulate their body temperature. They cannot generate warmth internally the way mammals do. This might seem like a disadvantage, but it is actually another key to their efficiency. Maintaining a constant internal temperature requires enormous amounts of energy. Mammals and birds must eat frequently to fuel their internal furnaces. Turtles, by contrast, can go for long periods without food because they do not need to burn calories to stay warm. They bask in the sun to raise their body temperature, retreat to shade or water to cool down, and in this way, they live in harmony with their environment rather than in opposition to it. Basking is one of the most iconic behaviors of turtles, and it serves multiple purposes. When a turtle hauls itself out of the water onto a log or rock and stretches its legs and neck toward the sun, it is not simply relaxing. Though it may look that way, it is thermoregulating, raising its body temperature to optimize digestion, immune function, and overall metabolism. The warmth of the sun also helps to dry the skin and shell, which can prevent the growth of algae and fungi. In some species, basking provides essential ultraviolet light, which helps the turtle synthesize vitamin D, necessary for healthy bone and shell growth. So that image of a turtle sunbathing, so peaceful and still, is actually a turtle engaging in vital maintenance, a slow and deliberate act of self-care. Turtles are also remarkably silent creatures. They do not have vocal cords in the way that mammals do, so they do not call out or sing or bark. They live in a world of quiet. Some species can produce hissing sounds by expelling air rapidly from their lungs, usually as a defensive gesture when startled or threatened. A few species make soft clucking or grunting noises, particularly during mating. But for the most part, turtles move through life without adding to the noise of the world. There is something deeply calming about that, a creature that has no need to announce itself, that simply exists, solid and present, without fanfare. Their senses, though, are well developed. Turtles have good vision, particularly for detecting movement and color. Many species can see into the ultraviolet spectrum, which helps them identify food, mates, and navigate their environments. Their sense of smell is acute, both in air and in water. Turtles use chemical cues to find food, recognize other turtles, and locate nesting sites. Touch is important too. Despite the hard shell, turtles can feel pressure and vibrations through it. The shell is covered with nerve endings, so a turtle knows when it is being touched, when it is resting on a warm rock, when rain is falling on its back. They are not isolated inside their armor. They are connected to the world around them, sensing it constantly, responding to it in their own slow time. Turtles are found in a stunning variety of habitats, and each has adapted in ways that reflect the environment it calls home. Sea turtles, for instance, have evolved flippers instead of legs, transforming them into graceful swimmers despite their reputation for slowness on land. In the water, a sea turtle moves with a fluid, almost bird-like motion, wings of bone and muscle pulling it through the ocean. They can travel vast distances, some species migrating thousands of miles between feeding grounds and nesting beaches. Loggerhead turtles born on beaches in Japan have been tracked crossing the entire Pacific Ocean to feed off the coast of Mexico, then returning years later to the very same beaches where they hatched. This is navigation on an epic scale, guided by the Earth's magnetic field, ocean currents, and perhaps even memory encoded in ways we do not yet fully understand. Freshwater turtles, like the painted turtles and red-eared sliders common in North America, live in ponds, lakes, and slow-moving rivers. They are often seen basking in groups, lined up on logs like sunbathers on a quiet afternoon. These turtles are omnivores, eating aquatic plants, insects, small fish, and carrion. They play an important role in their ecosystems, helping to control populations of prey species and cleaning up dead material. Their presence is an indicator of a healthy aquatic environment. Where turtles thrive, the water is likely clean, the habitat balanced. Tortoises, the land-dwelling members of the turtle family, are perhaps the most iconic symbols of slowness. They move across the ground with a deliberate, plodding gait, each step carefully placed. Their legs are thick and columnar, built to support the weight of their heavy shells. Unlike their aquatic cousins, tortoises cannot swim. If placed in deep water, they will sink. They are creatures of the earth, tied to the land in the most literal sense. Some tortoises live in deserts, where they have adapted to extreme heat and scarcity of water. The desert tortoise of the southwestern United States, for example, spends much of its life underground in burrows, emerging during the cooler parts of the day to forage. It can survive for months without drinking, obtaining moisture from the plants it eats, and storing water in its bladder. This is patience on a survival level, waiting out the harshest conditions, emerging only when the world is hospitable again. The diet of turtles varies widely depending on the species. Some are strict herbivores, grazing on grasses, leaves, and flowers. Others are carnivores, hunting fish, insects, worms, and even other turtles. Many are opportunistic omnivores, eating whatever is available. The snapping turtle, a large and powerful freshwater species, is known for its aggressive feeding behavior and strong jaws. It will eat almost anything it can catch, from fish to ducklings to aquatic plants. Yet, even this fierce predator embodies the turtle's characteristic patience. A snapping turtle will often lie motionless on the bottom of a pond or river, partially buried in mud, waiting for prey to come close. It can remain still for hours, barely breathing, conserving energy until the perfect moment to strike. This is not the frantic hunt of a cheetah or the coordinated pack strategy of wolves. This is ambush refined to its essence, stillness, patience, and a single explosive moment. Turtle shells come in many shapes and sizes, each adapted to the turtle's way of life. The high-domed shells of tortoises provide excellent protection against predators and help to regulate body temperature by minimizing surface area exposed to the sun. The flatter, more streamlined shells of aquatic turtles reduce drag in the water, allowing for more efficient swimming. Some species, like the soft-shell turtles, have shells covered not with hard scuts, but with leathery skin, making them lighter and more flexible, better suited for life in fast-moving rivers where agility is more valuable than armor. The shell is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It is a canvas upon which evolution has painted endless variations, each one a response to the specific challenges of a particular environment. Growth in turtles is a slow, continuous process. Unlike mammals, which reach a certain size and then stop growing, turtles keep growing throughout their lives, though the rate of growth slows considerably as they age. Young turtles grow relatively quickly, adding new layers of keratin to their scuts each year. In some species, you can count these growth rings, much like the rings of a tree, to estimate the turtle's age. As the turtle matures, growth becomes almost imperceptible, but it never entirely stops. A very old turtle may still be adding microscopic layers to its shell, a testament to the persistence of life even in its quietest forms. Reproduction in turtles is another study in patience. Most species do not reach sexual maturity until they are at least a decade old, and in some of the larger species, it can take 20, 30, even 50 years before a turtle is ready to reproduce. This is an extraordinary investment of time. A turtle must survive predators, disease, environmental changes, and human activity for decades before it has the chance to pass on its genes. Once mature, females often travel great distances to return to the beaches or areas where they themselves were born, a behavior called natal homing. How they navigate back to these specific locations, sometimes after decades at sea, remains one of the great mysteries of animal behavior. When a female sea turtle is ready to lay her eggs, she hauls herself out of the ocean and onto the beach, usually at night. This is one of the few times in her life when she is truly vulnerable. On land, she is slow and awkward, her flippers designed for swimming, not walking. She drags herself above the high tide line, digs a deep hole in the sand with her rear flippers, and deposits her eggs, often more than 100 at a time. Then she covers the nest carefully, disguising it from predators, and returns to the sea. She will never see her offspring. She will not guard the nest or teach the hatchlings. Her role ends with the laying of the eggs, and from that point on, the tiny turtles are on their own. The eggs incubate in the warm sand for about 2 months. Interestingly, the temperature of the sand determines the sex of the hatchlings. Warmer temperatures produce more females, cooler temperatures produce more males. This is called temperature-dependent sex determination, and it makes sea turtles particularly vulnerable to climate change. As global temperatures rise and beaches warm, some populations are producing far more females than males, skewing the balance and threatening the long-term viability of the species. When the hatchlings finally emerge, they do so all at once, usually at night, erupting from the sand in a coordinated scramble toward the ocean. This synchronized hatching is a survival strategy. By emerging together, they overwhelm predators with sheer numbers. Birds, crabs, and other animals will take many, but not all. It is a numbers game, a strategy built on the assumption that some will survive. The journey from nest to ocean is fraught with danger. Hatchlings must navigate obstacles, avoid predators, and find the water, all guided by instinct and the light of the moon reflecting on the waves. Those that make it to the ocean face even more challenges. Fish, sharks, and other predators patrol the shallows. Only a tiny fraction of hatchlings will survive to adulthood, but those that do will carry forward the ancient lineage, slow and steady, into the future. Turtles breathe air, even the fully aquatic species, which means they must surface regularly. However, they are remarkably efficient at using oxygen. Some species can hold their breath for hours, and during periods of inactivity or brumation, they can remain submerged for months. They do this by slowing their metabolism to an extreme degree and by supplementing their oxygen intake through a process called cloacal respiration. The cloaca is the multi-purpose opening at the base of the tail, used for excretion and reproduction. In some turtle species, the cloaca is lined with specialized tissues that can extract oxygen directly from the water. This allows the turtle to breathe without surfacing, a remarkable adaptation that enables them to survive beneath ice-covered ponds throughout the winter. Winter dormancy, or brumation, is a fascinating aspect of turtle biology. As temperatures drop, turtles in temperate regions become less active. Their metabolism slows even further than usual. They stop eating, sometimes for months. Aquatic turtles may bury themselves in the mud at the bottom of a pond or lake, where the water is slightly warmer and protected from freezing. In this state, they enter a kind of suspended animation, their bodies running on the barest minimum of energy. Heart rate drops, brain activity quiets. They exist in a space between waking and sleep, waiting for the return of warmth. It is a profound form of patience, an entire season spent in stillness, trusting that the world will turn, that spring will come, that life will resume. Turtles have few natural predators once they reach adulthood, thanks to their shells and their cautious behavior. Young turtles and eggs, however, are vulnerable to a wide range of animals: raccoons, foxes, birds, fish, and even ants. The shell of a hatchling is soft and offers little protection. Survival in the early stages of life is largely a matter of luck and sheer numbers. But once a turtle reaches a certain size, it becomes much safer. The shell is a formidable defense. A full-grown turtle can retract its head, legs, and tail completely inside, sealing itself within its armor. Predators may try to bite or claw at the shell, but it is dense and tough, and most will eventually give up and move on to easier prey. Despite this protection, turtles are not invincible. Humans have become their greatest threat. Habitat destruction, pollution, climate change, and the illegal pet trade have all taken a toll on turtle populations worldwide. Many species are now endangered or critically endangered. Coastal development destroys nesting beaches. Fishing nets and boat strikes kill sea turtles. Plastic pollution is mistaken for food, leading to injury and death. Roads fragment habitats, and turtles attempting to cross are often struck by vehicles. The slow pace that has served turtles so well for millions of years becomes a liability in a world that moves too fast. Yet there is hope. Conservation efforts around the world are working to protect turtles and their habitats. Nesting beaches are being preserved and monitored. Fishing practices are being modified to reduce bycatch. Rehabilitation centers care for injured turtles and release them back into the wild. People are beginning to recognize the value of these ancient creatures, not just for their ecological roles, but for what they represent: a connection to a deeper, slower time, a reminder that life does not have to be hurried to be meaningful. Turtles have also captured human imagination for millennia. They appear in myths, legends, and spiritual traditions across cultures. In many indigenous North American traditions, the turtle is a symbol of the earth itself, carrying the world on its back, a concept often referred to as Turtle Island. In Hindu mythology, the world is supported by elephants standing on the back of a giant turtle. In Chinese culture, the turtle represents longevity, wisdom, and stability. These stories reflect a deep respect for the turtle's endurance and its connection to the foundational forces of life. There is something profoundly calming about watching a turtle. Perhaps it is the slowness, the lack of urgency. Perhaps it is the sense of timelessness they carry with them, the knowledge that their kind has been here far longer than ours and, with care, may be here long after. Or perhaps it is simply the reminder that not everything needs to rush. Not every creature needs to compete in speed. There is another way to live, a way that values patience, steadiness, and the long view. In our own lives, we are often told that faster is better, that productivity is measured in speed, that success comes to those who move quickly, who multitask, who never stop. But the turtle offers a different lesson. It shows us that slowness can be a strength, that taking your time is not the same as wasting it, that a life lived slowly, with care and intention, can be a life well lived. The turtle does not hurry, and yet it accomplishes everything it needs to. It eats, it rests, it reproduces, it survives. It has done so for millions of years, outlasting countless other species that burned brightly and quickly and then vanished. So as you rest here, consider the turtle. Consider its steady heartbeat, its patient journey, its long life measured not in frantic activity, but in quiet persistence. Let that image settle into your mind. Let it slow your thoughts, ease your breathing, remind you that there is no rush. The world will still be here tomorrow. Your tasks will wait. For now, you can simply be, like the turtle, present and unhurried, moving through time at your own pace. The shell itself is not merely armor worn atop the body. It is the body. The ribs of a turtle have expanded and flattened over millions of years, fusing with plates of bone that form the upper dome, called the carapace. Beneath, the plastron shields the belly, a second plate of bone that completes the enclosure. Between these two halves, openings allow the head, limbs, and tail to emerge. But the spine runs along the inside of the shell, fixed and immovable in most species. A turtle cannot crawl out of its shell any more than you could step out of your ribcage. It is architecture and anatomy fused into one. This fusion brings a certain stillness to the turtle's form. Where other animals twist and bend, the turtle remains composed. Its body is single solid structure. The vertebrae are locked in place, the shoulder blades tucked inside the ribs rather than outside, a reversal found in no other vertebrate. This arrangement required millions of years to evolve, a slow sculpting of bone and muscle into something entirely new. The result is a creature that carries its shelter always, never needing to seek cover, never needing to run. And because it does not run, the turtle's muscles are built for endurance, not speed. The fibers are slow twitch, designed to contract steadily over long periods without fatigue. A turtle can walk for hours, moving through marshes or across forest floors, its legs pushing forward in a rhythm that never hurries. The heart beats slowly too, sometimes only a few times per minute when the animal is at rest. In cold water or during brumation, the winter rest of reptiles, the heart may beat once every 10 minutes, a pulse so faint it seems the animal has paused between one breath and the next. The lungs sit high inside the shell, pressed against the carapace. Because the ribs cannot expand and contract, a turtle cannot breathe the way you do. Instead, muscles in the limbs and neck pull and push, changing the pressure inside the body cavity, drawing air in and pressing it out. Some species have developed additional methods. Certain freshwater turtles can absorb oxygen through the skin, particularly in the throat and around the cloaca, the single opening used for waste and reproduction. This allows them to remain submerged for hours, even days, without surfacing. In winter, when the water grows cold and the turtle's metabolism slows to near stillness, this skin breathing can sustain life for months beneath the ice. The cold itself does not harm them. Turtles are ectothermic, meaning their body temperature matches their surroundings. They do not generate heat internally the way mammals do. When the air cools, so do they. When it warms, they warm. This dependence on external temperature means they must be strategic, choosing when to move and when to rest. On cool mornings, turtles bask, pulling themselves onto logs or rocks where the sun can reach them. The dark plates of the shell absorb heat, warming the blood beneath. The animal remains still, eyes half closed, limbs extended, soaking in the light. This is not laziness. It is preparation. A warm turtle digests food more efficiently, moves more effectively, and can escape danger if needed. But the warming takes time, and so the turtle waits. Digestion itself is a slow process. A turtle's metabolism operates at a fraction of the speed of a mammal's. Food moves through the long-coiled intestines over days, sometimes weeks. Enzymes break down plant matter, insects, fish, or carrion, depending on the species. Some turtles are strict herbivores, grazing on aquatic vegetation or munching fallen fruit. Others are opportunistic carnivores, snapping at fish or scavenging dead animals. A few, like the leatherback sea turtle, consume almost nothing but jellyfish, vast translucent creatures that offer little nutrition. To survive on such a diet, the leatherback must eat enormous quantities, sometimes consuming its own body weight in jellyfish each day. Yet even this feeding is slow, methodical, the turtle drifting through open ocean, mouth open, filtering the gelatinous bodies from the water. The jaw of a turtle is another marvel of efficiency. There are no teeth. Instead, the edges of a jaw are covered in a sharp keratinous beak, similar to that of a bird. In herbivorous species, the beak is broad and flat, suited to shearing plants. In carnivorous species, it is hooked and pointed, capable of tearing flesh. The jaw muscles are strong, capable of exerting significant force. A snapping turtle can bite with enough pressure to sever a finger, though it rarely does. Most turtles prefer to withdraw rather than fight, pulling head and limbs into the shell and waiting for danger to pass. This withdrawal is not instantaneous. It is a careful, deliberate motion. The head retracts first, folding sideways or straight back, depending on the species. The front legs follow, tucking inward. The hind legs pull in last, and in some species, hinged sections of the plastron swing shut like doors, sealing the turtle completely inside. The animal becomes a closed box, impenetrable to most predators. Inside it waits. Minutes pass. Hours. The turtle does not panic. Its heart rate remains steady. It simply exists, patient and still, until the threat is gone. This patience extends to nearly every aspect of turtle life. Reproduction, for instance, is neither hurried nor frequent. Female turtles may take years, even decades, to reach sexual maturity. A painted turtle might mature at 5 to 7 years. A snapping turtle at 10 to 12. A giant tortoise not until 40 or 50. Once mature, the female does not breed every year. She waits for the right conditions: warm weather, abundant food, safe nesting sites. When the time comes, she may travel long distances to find suitable ground. Sea turtles cross entire oceans, returning to the very beaches where they hatched decades earlier. How they navigate remains partially mysterious, though scientists believe they use the Earth's magnetic field, the angle of the sun, and perhaps even the taste of the water to guide them. Upon reaching the nesting site, the female digs. Her hind legs scoop sand or soil, carving out a flask-shaped chamber. The digging is slow, deliberate, each scoop of earth carefully placed. Once the chamber is complete, she lays her eggs, round or oval depending on the species, each one dropping softly into the nest. A sea turtle may lay over 100 eggs in a single clutch. A box turtle only 3 or 4. The number varies, but the process is always the same: quiet, focused, unhurried. After the last egg is laid, the female covers the nest, smoothing the surface to hide it from predators. Then she leaves. She does not guard the eggs. She does not return to check on them. Her role is complete. The eggs rest in darkness, warmed by the sun-heated sand or soil above. Inside each shell, a tiny embryo begins to grow. The temperature of the nest determines not only the speed of development, but, in many species, the sex of the hatchlings. Warmer nests produce more females. Cooler nests produce more males. This temperature-dependent sex determination is common among reptiles, a trait that has persisted for millions of years. It is efficient in stable climates, but it makes turtles vulnerable to rapid environmental change. As global temperatures rise, some populations are producing almost entirely female hatchlings, a shift that could threaten their long-term survival. The incubation period lasts weeks or months. 2 months for a painted turtle, for months for a leatherback, up to a year for some tortoises. During this time, the embryo absorbs the yolk, growing limbs, shell, organs. The shell forms as thin, flexible plates that will harden over time. The tiny turtle curls inside the egg, waiting. When the time is right, it uses a small, temporary tooth called a caruncle to slice through the leathery shell. The process is exhausting. Some hatchlings rest for hours after breaking through, still half enclosed, gathering strength. Others emerge quickly, instinct driving them forward. Hatchlings are impossibly small. A sea turtle hatchling fits in the palm of your hand, weighing less than an ounce. A giant tortoise hatchling is scarcely larger than a walnut. Despite their size, they are fully formed, miniature versions of the adults they will become. They have no parental guidance, no teaching, no protection. They must survive on instinct alone. For sea turtles, this means an immediate, frantic dash to the ocean. The sand is dangerous, filled with crabs, birds, and lizards that prey on the vulnerable hatchlings. Those that reach the water face even more threats: fish, sharks, and the sheer vastness of the open sea. It is estimated that only 1 in 1,000 sea turtle hatchlings survives to adulthood. The odds are harsh, but the strategy is sound. By producing many offspring and investing little in each one, the species ensures that at least a few will endure. Freshwater and terrestrial turtle hatchlings face different challenges. Many remain near the nest for days or weeks, absorbing the last of their yolk sac before venturing out. They hide under leaves and burrows beneath logs. They are slow and clumsy, easy targets for raccoons, herons, snakes, and foxes. Their shells are soft, not yet hardened into effective armor. Survival depends on stillness, camouflage, and luck. Those that survive begin to grow, their shells hardening, their movements becoming more confident. Growth is slow. A turtle may take a decade to reach half its adult size. But once it does, its chances improve dramatically. Adult turtles have few natural predators. The shell is a formidable defense, and most predators learn to avoid them. Alligators can crush turtle shells, as can jaguars. Large birds of prey occasionally manage to drop turtles from great heights, smashing the shell on rocks below. But these events are rare. For the most part, an adult turtle is safe, free to move through its habitat without fear. This safety allows for a long life, and turtles take full advantage. They do not age the way mammals do. There is no sudden decline, no inevitable frailty. A turtle's organs do not wear out. Its cells do not accumulate damage at the same rate. It simply continues, year after year, growing slowly, living steadily. This phenomenon is called negligible senescence, a form of aging so slow it is almost imperceptible. In most animals, aging brings a decline in function. Muscles weaken, organs fail, the risk of death increases. In turtles, this decline is minimal. A 100-year-old turtle is nearly as vigorous as a 50-year-old. A 200-year-old tortoise still eats, moves, and reproduces. Scientists studying this phenomenon have found that turtle cells are remarkably resistant to damage. They produce fewer free radicals, the unstable molecules that cause cellular wear. Their DNA repair mechanisms are more efficient. Their telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes that shorten with age, degrade more slowly. All of this contributes to a lifespan that can stretch across centuries. The oldest known turtle was a radiated tortoise named Two-Eye Malilla, gifted to the royal family of Tonga by Captain Cook in the 1770s. She lived until 1965, reaching at least 188 years, possibly more. Other tortoises have been documented living past 150 years. Jonathan, a Seychelles giant tortoise living on the island of St. Helena, is estimated to be over 190 years old as of this writing. He was already mature when he arrived on the island in 1882, meaning he hatched sometime around 1830. He has lived through the reigns of multiple monarchs, 2 world wars, the invention of the airplane, and the rise of the internet. He continues to eat, walk, and bask in the sun, his life a quiet testament to the endurance of his kind. Not all turtles live so long. Smaller species have shorter lifespans, though still impressive by most standards. A painted turtle might live 30 to 40 years in the wild. A box turtle 50 to 70. A snapping turtle can reach 80 or more. Sea turtles, despite their size, often live 50 to 80 years, though some individuals may reach 100. The variation depends on species, environment, and the countless small factors that influence survival: food availability, temperature, predation, disease. But across the board, turtles outlive most other animals of comparable size. A turtle the size of a dinner plate may outlive a dog, a cat, even a horse. A tortoise the size of a small car may outlive several generations of humans. This longevity is not a byproduct of safety or ease. It is an active process maintained by the turtle's biology. The heart, for instance, is remarkably efficient. It beats slowly, conserving energy, yet it pumps blood effectively throughout the body. The chambers are not fully separated as they are in mammals, allowing some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. This might seem inefficient, but it offers flexibility. A turtle can shunt blood away from the lungs when diving, redirecting it to vital organs. It can slow its heart rate dramatically when oxygen is scarce, entering a state of near-suspended animation. This adaptability has allowed turtles to survive in environments where other animals would perish. The kidneys, too, are specialized. Turtles can tolerate high levels of urea in their blood, a waste product that would be toxic to most animals. This allows them to conserve water, an essential adaptation for species living in arid environments or spending long periods at sea. Some sea turtles have specialized glands near their eyes that excrete excess salt, allowing them to drink seawater without becoming dehydrated. The tears they produce are thick with salt, giving the appearance of weeping, though it is simply a biological necessity. The immune system of a turtle is another quiet marvel. It operates slowly, taking days or weeks to respond to infection, but it is thorough. Turtles rarely suffer from the cancers and diseases that plague faster-living animals. Their cells divide infrequently, reducing the chance of mutations. When infections do occur, the turtle's body responds with a measured, sustained attack, producing antibodies that persist for years. This slow, steady immune response is part of what allows turtles to live so long. They are not invincible, but they are resilient. Even their vision is adapted for a slow, patient life. Turtles see in color, a trait shared with birds but lost in most mammals. They can distinguish reds, greens, and blues, and some species can see into the ultraviolet spectrum. This color vision helps them identify food, mates, and potential threats. Their eyes are positioned on the sides of the head, giving them a wide field of view. They can see almost all around themselves without turning their head, a useful trait for an animal that moves slowly and cannot afford to be surprised. The eyes themselves are protected by thick, scaly eyelids, and many species have a transparent third eyelid that can slide across the eye underwater, protecting it while still allowing vision. Hearing, by contrast, is less acute. Turtles lack external ears, having only a thin membrane covered by skin and scales. They sense vibrations more than sounds, feeling the footsteps of a predator or the ripple of water as a fish swims past. This sensitivity to vibration allows them to detect danger even when it is out of sight. A turtle resting on a riverbank might seem oblivious, but it is attuned to every tremor in the ground, every shift in the water. The moment something feels wrong, it slips silently beneath the surface, disappearing into the murk. The sense of smell is far more developed. Turtles have a keen sense of smell both in air and water. They use it to locate food, find mates, and navigate their environment. Some species can detect the scent of a single drop of blood in an Olympic-sized pool of water. Others can smell ripe fruit from hundreds of meters away. The nostrils, positioned at the tip of the snout, draw in air or water, passing it over a specialized organ that analyzes the chemical signals. This information is processed slowly, carefully, allowing the turtle to make informed decisions about where to go and what to do. Touch is perhaps the most surprising sense. The shell, despite being hard and bony, is covered in a thin layer of skin rich with nerve endings. A turtle can feel when something touches its shell, whether it is a gentle brush of vegetation or the tap of a curious finger. This sensitivity helps the turtle navigate tight spaces, feel the texture of the ground beneath it, and sense changes in water flow. Some turtles enjoy being gently scratched on the shell, a behavior observed in both wild and captive individuals. It is a reminder that beneath the armor, there is a living, feeling animal, aware of its surroundings in ways we're only beginning to understand. The brain of a turtle is small, even relative to its body size. It lacks the complex folds and structures found in mammalian brains. Yet turtles are not mindless. They learn, remember, and solve problems. Studies have shown that turtles can navigate mazes, remember the location of food sources, and recognize individual humans. They can be trained to respond to visual cues and sounds. Their learning is slow, requiring many repetitions, but once something is learned, it is retained for years. This long-term memory is essential for species that return to the same nesting beaches or feeding grounds after decades at sea. Social behavior varies widely among turtles. Most species are solitary, interacting with others only to mate. They do not form bonds or cooperate. Each turtle is an island, self-sufficient and independent. Yet there are exceptions. Some freshwater turtles bask in groups, piling atop one another on logs or rocks. This behavior is not social in the mammalian sense. They are not friends or family. They simply tolerate one another's presence, drawn to the same prime basking spots by shared needs. The warmth of the sun is more important than personal space, and so they crowd together, a living stack of shells and limbs, each one warming itself in the light. Sea turtles, too, show occasional group behavior. Hatchlings emerge from the nest together, their simultaneous departure increasing the chances that at least some will survive the dash to the ocean. Adult females sometimes nest on the same beaches at the same time, a phenomenon called an arrabata, where thousands of turtles come ashore over a few nights. The beach becomes a slow, heaving mass of bodies, each female focused on her task, oblivious to the others around her. It is not cooperation, but it is synchrony, a shared response to environmental cues that scientists are still working to fully understand. Mating itself is a slow, often clumsy affair. Males court females with head bobs, gentle bites, and persistent following. In some species, the male strokes the female's face with his long claws, a gesture that seems almost tender. In others, he simply grabs onto her shell and holds on, sometimes for hours. The female may accept or reject his advances, swimming away or diving to the bottom to dislodge him. If she accepts, the pair may remain coupled for an extended period, drifting together in the water or moving slowly across the ground. Afterward, they part ways, each returning to solitary life. The male's role is finished. The female carries the fertilized eggs, waiting for the right moment to nest. The sperm, remarkably, can be stored inside the female's body for months or even years. She does not need to mate again immediately before laying eggs. This ability to store sperm allows her to produce multiple clutches from a single mating, spacing them out over several seasons. It is an efficient system, reducing the need for repeated encounters and allowing the female to reproduce even if males are scarce. The eggs develop slowly inside her, each one forming its shell, accumulating yolk, preparing for the journey ahead. When the time comes to lay, the female's body undergoes subtle changes. Hormones shift, triggering the urge to move toward nesting sites. She may travel for days or weeks, driven by instinct and memory. Upon arrival, she assesses the ground, testing it with her hind legs, ensuring it is soft enough to dig but firm enough to hold the nest shape. If conditions are not right, she moves on, searching for a better spot. This selectiveness is crucial. A poorly placed nest may flood, overheat, or be easily discovered by predators. The female's patience in choosing the right location increases the chances her offspring will survive. Once the nest is dug and the eggs laid, the female's work is done. She returns to her usual habitat, resuming the slow, steady rhythm of her life. She does not think of the eggs. She does not worry or wonder. She simply continues, eating, basking, moving through her world with the same unhurried grace she has always known. The eggs are on their own, left to the mercy of the elements and the protection of the earth. This lack of parental care might seem cold, but it is effective. By producing many eggs and investing little in each, the turtle ensures that the species continues even when individual survival rates are low. It is a strategy that has worked for over 200 million years, through mass extinctions, climate shifts, and the rise and fall of countless other species. Turtles have endured because they do not hurry, do not waste energy, and do not take unnecessary risks. They simply persist, generation after generation, each one a quiet echo of the last. The habitats turtles occupy are as varied as the species themselves. Some live in fast-flowing rivers, clinging to rocks and logs as the current rushes past. Others prefer still ponds, where the water is warm and thick with vegetation. Some inhabit deserts, emerging from burrows only in the cool of night or after rare rains. Others roam tropical forests, grazing on fallen fruit and fungi. Sea turtles traverse entire oceans, migrating thousands of miles between feeding and nesting grounds. Each habitat shapes the turtle that lives there, molding its behavior, diet, and life cycle. In cold climates, turtles must contend with winter. As temperatures drop, their bodies slow. Movement becomes sluggish, then ceases altogether. They seek out safe places to wait out the cold: mud at the bottom of a pond, a burrow deep underground, a crevice in the rocks. Here, they enter brumation, a state similar to hibernation but unique to reptiles. The heart beats only occasionally. Breathing nearly stops. The turtle's metabolism drops to a fraction of its normal rate, conserving energy through the long, dark months. In this state, they can survive without food, without light, without warmth. They simply wait, patient and still, until the world warms again. The journey through the world of turtles continues, and there is so much more to discover in the quiet rhythms of their existence. These ancient creatures carry within them secrets not only of survival, but of thriving through patience, adaptation, and a kind of biological wisdom that unfolds across centuries. As we move deeper into their lives, we begin to see how every detail of their being is shaped by slowness, and how that slowness becomes a kind of strength. One of the most remarkable aspects of turtle biology is the way their hearts function. A turtle's heart beats slowly, sometimes only a few times per minute when the animal is resting or in cold water. This bradycardia, as it is called, is not a weakness but a profound adaptation. By slowing the heart, the turtle conserves energy and reduces the demand for oxygen. In some species, the heart rate can drop to just 1 or 2 beats per minute during deep hibernation. The heart itself is structured differently from that of mammals, with 3 chambers instead of 4, allowing some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. This might seem inefficient, but for a turtle, it is exactly what is needed. It allows the animal to fine-tune its oxygen use, directing blood flow where it is most needed and reducing it where it is not. The slow heart is a metronome of survival, ticking quietly through decades. And within that slow circulation, the blood itself carries adaptations. Turtle blood can tolerate low oxygen levels far better than ours. When a turtle dives beneath the surface of a pond or ocean, it may remain submerged for hours, even days in some species. During this time, oxygen levels in the blood drop, but the turtle does not panic. Its tissues are adapted to function in low oxygen environments, using anaerobic pathways to generate energy when needed. Lactic acid, a byproduct of this process, builds up slowly, and the turtle's body buffers it with calcium released from the shell and bones. This chemical exchange allows the turtle to remain calm and still, waiting in the quiet dark of the water, breathing only when it chooses to rise. Some aquatic turtles have developed an additional breathing method that seems almost magical. They can absorb oxygen directly through their skin and through specialized tissues in their throat and cloaca. This process, called cloacal respiration, allows certain species to remain underwater throughout the winter, buried in mud at the bottom of a frozen pond. The turtle does not breathe air for months. Instead, it draws tiny amounts of oxygen from the water through the thin, blood-rich membranes in its rear opening. It is a slow, quiet exchange, barely enough to sustain the animal's minimal needs, but it is enough. The turtle sleeps through the cold, its body temperature matching the water around it. Its metabolism nearly stopped, its heart beating only occasionally. It is a state so close to stillness that it resembles a kind of living pause. This ability to enter such profound dormancy is tied to the turtle's relationship with temperature. Because turtles are ectothermic, their body temperature mirrors their environment. When the world grows cold, so do they. Their metabolism slows in direct proportion to the cooling of the air or water. This is not something they control consciously. It is an automatic response, a biological dimmer switch. In warm conditions, a turtle may be active, alert, and relatively quick. In cool conditions, it becomes sluggish, contemplative, and deeply energy efficient. In freezing conditions, it may enter a state called brumation, a reptilian form of hibernation. During brumation, the turtle does not eat, does not move, and barely breathes. Its body enters a kind of suspended animation, waiting for warmth to return. And return it does, eventually, and the turtle wakes slowly, as if remembering how to move. The shell, which we have touched upon, deserves even deeper attention. It is not merely armor. It is a living, breathing part of the turtle's anatomy. The outer layer of the shell, made of keratin, is the same material that forms our fingernails and hair. Beneath that lies bone, fused directly to the turtle's ribs and spine. The shell grows throughout the turtle's life, adding layers like the rings of a tree. In some species, you can estimate age by counting the growth rings on the scuds, the individual plates of the shell. Each ring represents a period of growth, often corresponding to a season. The shell is sensitive. It contains nerve endings and blood vessels. A turtle can feel touch through its shell, and it can feel pain if the shell is damaged. The shell is not a house the turtle lives in. It is the turtle itself, an inseparable part of its body. The shape of a shell varies widely among species, and each shape tells a story of adaptation. Tortoises, which live on land, often have high-domed shells that protect them from predators and help them retain moisture in dry climates. Aquatic turtles tend to have flatter, more streamlined shells that reduce drag as they swim. Sea turtles have evolved shells that are lightweight and hydrodynamic, allowing them to glide through ocean currents with minimal effort. Some species, like the soft-shell turtles, have shells covered in leathery skin instead of hard scuds, giving them flexibility and speed in the water. The shell is not a single solution, but a canvas upon which evolution has painted countless variations, each one perfectly suited to a particular way of life. Inside the shell, the turtle skeleton is a marvel of evolutionary engineering. The ribs, instead of curving around the body to protect the organs, are flattened and fused to the inside of the carapace, the upper shell. This means a turtle cannot expand its rib cage to breathe the way we do. Instead, turtles have developed specialized muscles that pull the internal organs back and forth, creating a bellows-like motion that draws air into the lungs. Breathing, for a turtle, is a slow, deliberate act, a muscular effort that happens only when needed. Some turtles can hold a single breath for hours, their lungs acting as both respiratory organs and buoyancy control devices. By adjusting the amount of air in their lungs, aquatic turtles can rise or sink in the water with minimal movement. The lungs themselves are large and spongy, occupying much of the space inside the shell. They are positioned near the top of the body, just beneath the carapace, which helps the turtle float with its back at the surface. This positioning also means that if a turtle is flipped onto its back, its organs press down on the lungs, making breathing difficult. A turtle stranded on its back can suffocate under the weight of its own body if it cannot right itself. This vulnerability is one of the few weaknesses in an otherwise brilliantly designed form. Yet even here, many turtles have developed strategies. Some can use their long necks and strong legs to push against the ground and flip themselves over. Others have shells shaped in such a way that they naturally roll back onto their bellies. Evolution, patient as ever, has provided answers. The turtle's neck is another feature of quiet fascination. Some turtles can retract their necks completely into their shells, folding the neck in an S shape to tuck the head safely away. These are called cryptodires, the hidden-neck turtles, and they include most of the species we are familiar with. Others, called pluridires, fold their necks sideways, tucking the head along the edge of the shell. This side-necked approach is less common, but equally effective. The neck itself is surprisingly long in many species, allowing the turtle to reach food, breathe at the surface, or strike at prey without moving its body. The muscles in the neck are strong and flexible, capable of extending and retracting with smooth, controlled motion. Watching a turtle extend its neck is like watching a periscope rise from the water, slow and deliberate, guided by ancient instinct. The turtle's jaw is another study in adaptation. Turtles have no teeth. Instead, they possess a sharp, keratinous beak, much like that of a bird. The edges of the beak can be smooth or serrated, depending on the turtle's diet. Herbivorous turtles have broad, flat beaks suited for cropping vegetation. Carnivorous turtles have sharp, hooked beaks for tearing flesh. The jaw muscles are powerful, capable of exerting tremendous force. A snapping turtle, for example, can deliver a bite strong enough to sever a finger, though it rarely does so unless threatened. The force of the bite is generated not through speed, but through sustained pressure, a slow, inexorable closing of the jaws. Once a turtle bites down, it often holds on, waiting for the threat to subside or the prey to weaken. Patience, once again, is the strategy. Digestion in turtles is a slow, methodical process. After a turtle consumes food, it may take days or even weeks for that food to pass through the digestive system. The stomach breaks down the meal with strong acids, and the intestines extract every possible nutrient. Because turtles eat infrequently, especially in cooler climates, they have evolved to make the most of every meal. The digestive tract is long and winding, giving the body ample time to absorb nutrients. Waste is excreted as a combination of feces and uric acid, a white, paste-like substance that conserves water. This is especially important for species that live in arid environments, where water is scarce and every drop must be conserved. The turtle's metabolism, as we have noted, is slow, but it is also remarkably efficient. A turtle can survive on a fraction of the food that a mammal of similar size would require. This efficiency is one of the keys to their longevity. By living slowly, by burning energy at a gentle, steady rate, turtles reduce the wear and tear on their bodies. Their cells divide less frequently, which means fewer opportunities for errors to accumulate. Their proteins are more stable, less prone to damage from oxidative stress. Their DNA repair mechanisms are robust, catching and correcting mutations before they can cause harm. All of these factors combine to create an animal that ages, if it ages at all, with extraordinary grace. Some species of turtle exhibit what scientists call negligible senescence, a term that means they show no increase in mortality rate as they age. In other words, a 100-year-old turtle is no more likely to die in a given year than a 20-year-old turtle of the same species, assuming both are healthy. This is profoundly different from the aging process in mammals, where the risk of death increases exponentially with age. Turtles seem to sidestep this rule. They grow old, yes, but they do not grow frail in the same way. Their organs continue to function, their shells continue to grow, and their bodies continue to repair themselves. They are not immortal, but they are something close to it, at least in biological terms. One theory for this remarkable longevity is that turtles have evolved exceptionally effective antioxidant systems. Oxidative stress, caused by free radicals, is one of the primary drivers of aging in most animals. Free radicals are unstable molecules that damage cells, proteins, and DNA. Over time, this damage accumulates, leading to the decline we associate with old age. Turtles, however, produce high levels of antioxidants, molecules that neutralize free radicals before they can cause harm. Their cells are bathed in protective compounds, and their mitochondria, the energy-producing structures within cells, are more efficient and produce fewer harmful byproducts. This means that even as a turtle lives for decades or centuries, its cells remain relatively healthy, its tissues relatively intact. Another factor is the turtle's low metabolic rate. Metabolism generates heat and energy, but it also generates waste and damage. By living slowly, turtles reduce the rate at which this damage occurs. It is as if they are burning a candle at the lowest possible flame, making it last far longer than a candle burned brightly. This slow burn is not a compromise. It is a strategy, one that has allowed turtles to outlast countless other species, to survive mass extinctions, to persist through climates and landscapes that have changed beyond recognition. The reproductive life of turtles is another testament to patience. Female turtles may not reach sexual maturity until they are 10, 20, or even 30 years old, depending on the species. This long juvenile period allows them to grow large and strong before the demands of reproduction begin. When a female is finally ready to mate, she may travel great distances to find a suitable partner. Mating itself is often a slow, gentle process, though in some species it can be surprisingly vigorous. Males may court females with elaborate displays, bobbing their heads, fluttering their claws, or swimming in circles. Once mating occurs, the female stores the sperm inside her body, sometimes for years, using it to fertilize multiple clutches of eggs over time. When the time comes to lay eggs, the female embarks on a journey that is both arduous and instinctual. Sea turtles, for example, return to the very beach where they were born, sometimes traveling thousands of miles across open ocean to reach it. How they navigate is still not fully understood, but it is believed they use the Earth's magnetic field, the position of the sun and stars, and perhaps even the chemical signature of the water near their natal beach. Upon arrival, the female waits for nightfall, then hauls herself up the sand, a slow, laborious climb. She digs a nest with her hind flippers, a process that can take an hour or more, scooping out sand with precise, repetitive motions. She lays her eggs, usually between 50 and 200, depending on the species, then covers the nest and returns to the sea. She does not guard the nest or care for the young. Her role ends with the laying, and the eggs are left to the mercy of temperature, predators, and time. The incubation period for turtle eggs is long, often 2 to 3 months, and the temperature of the sand determines the sex of the hatchlings. Warmer temperatures tend to produce females, cooler temperatures produce males, and temperatures in the middle produce a mix. This temperature-dependent sex determination is both a marvel and a vulnerability. It allows turtle populations to adjust their sex ratios in response to environmental conditions. But it also means that climate change, which is warming beaches around the world, is skewing the ratios heavily toward females. Some populations are now producing almost no males, a troubling sign for the future. When the hatchlings finally emerge, they do so at night, guided by an instinct to move toward the brightest horizon, which in nature is the moonlight reflecting off the ocean. They scramble across the sand, tiny and vulnerable, their flippers churning in a frantic race to reach the water. This is one of the few moments in a turtle's life that is not slow. The journey from nest to sea is fraught with danger. Birds, crabs, and other predators wait for the hatchlings, and many do not survive. Those that reach the water swim frantically away from shore, entering what is sometimes called the lost years, a period of their life about which we know very little. They drift in ocean currents, feeding on plankton and small invertebrates, growing slowly, surviving against steep odds. Years later, those that survive return to coastal waters, now larger and more capable. They continue to grow, slowly, steadily, adding size and strength with each passing year. Their growth rate slows as they age, but it never entirely stops. A turtle that lives for a century may continue to grow, however imperceptibly, throughout its entire life. This indeterminate growth is another feature that sets turtles apart from most mammals, which reach a fixed adult size and then stop growing. The diet of turtles is as varied as the species themselves. Some are strict herbivores, grazing on seagrasses, algae, and aquatic plants. Others are carnivores, hunting fish, jellyfish, crustaceans, and mollusks. Many are omnivores, opportunistically eating whatever is available. The green sea turtle, despite its name, is primarily herbivorous as an adult, feeding on seagrass meadows and shallow coastal waters. Its diet gives its fat a greenish tint, which is how it earned its name. The leatherback sea turtle, the largest of all turtles, feeds almost exclusively on jellyfish, consuming hundreds of pounds of them each day. Its throat is lined with backward-pointing spines that help it grip and swallow its slippery prey. The alligator snapping turtle, a freshwater giant, uses a remarkable lure to catch fish. It lies motionless on the river bottom, mouth open, and wiggles a small, worm-like appendage on its tongue. Fish, drawn to the lure, swim into the turtle's mouth and are snapped up in an instant. Turtles are not fast hunters, but they are patient ones. They wait, they watch, and they strike only when the moment is right. This patience extends to nearly every aspect of their lives. They do not rush, because rushing wastes energy, and energy is a precious resource. They move through the world with a kind of deliberate calm, a confidence born from millions of years of survival. They have learned, through evolution, that slow and steady truly does win the race. The sensory world of the turtle is subtle and finely tuned. Their vision is generally good, especially in species that hunt or navigate visually. Many turtles can see in color, and some, particularly sea turtles, can perceive ultraviolet light. This ability may help them detect patterns on the shells of other turtles, find food, or navigate using the sun. Their eyes are positioned on the sides of their heads, giving them a wide field of view, though their depth perception is limited. Aquatic turtles have a protective membrane, a kind of third eyelid, that covers the eye underwater, keeping it moist and shielded from debris. Hearing in turtles is less acute than in many animals, but they are not deaf. They lack external ear openings, but they have an inner ear structure that detects vibrations. Turtles are particularly sensitive to low-frequency sounds and vibrations traveling through the ground or water. A turtle resting on a riverbank can sense the footsteps of an approaching predator long before it sees or smells it. This sensitivity to vibration is a quiet, constant awareness, a way of staying connected to the world without needing to be constantly alert. The sense of smell is well developed in many turtles, especially those that hunt or forage. Turtles use a combination of olfactory receptors in the nose and a specialized organ called the Jacobson's organ, located in the roof of the mouth, to detect chemical cues in the air and water. A turtle may pump water in and out of its throat to sample scents, a behavior that looks like slow, deliberate breathing, but is actually a form of chemical investigation. This sense of smell helps turtles locate food, identify mates, and navigate their environment. Some species can detect the scent of their home pond or river from miles away, guiding them back after long journeys. Touch, as we have noted, is present even through the shell. Turtles can feel pressure, temperature, and texture through the keratin and bone of their carapace and plastron. They respond to gentle touch, often retracting slightly or shifting position. In social species, turtles may touch each other with their heads or flippers, a form of communication that is gentle and unhurried. Mother sea turtles, though they do not care for their young, have been observed pausing as they cover their nests, as if sensing the eggs beneath the sand. Whether this is a conscious awareness or an instinctual pause, we cannot say, but it is a moment of connection, however brief. The social lives of turtles are often understated, but they are not absent. While many species are solitary, spending most of their time alone, others gather in groups, especially during basking or migration. Basking is a behavior in which turtles haul themselves out of the water onto logs, rocks, or riverbanks to warm themselves in the sun. Basking groups can be surprisingly large, with dozens of turtles stacked on top of one another, each seeking a spot in the sun. These gatherings are peaceful, with little aggression or competition. The turtles simply share the space, absorbing warmth, drying their shells, and allowing the sun's ultraviolet light to help synthesize vitamin D. After an hour or two, they slip back into the water, one by one, resuming their slow, solitary lives. Migration is another behavior that reveals the hidden complexity of turtle life. Sea turtles are famous for their long migrations, traveling thousands of miles between feeding grounds and nesting beaches. These journeys are guided by an internal compass, a magnetic sense that allows them to navigate across featureless ocean. Freshwater turtles also migrate, though over shorter distances. They may move between ponds, rivers, and wetlands in search of food, mates, or suitable nesting sites. These migrations are slow, often taking days or weeks, and the turtles travel overland, vulnerable to predators and obstacles. Yet they persist, driven by instincts honed over millennia. The relationship between turtles and their environment is one of deep integration. Turtles are ecosystem engineers, shaping the habitats they live in. Sea turtles grazing on seagrass keep the beds healthy, preventing overgrowth and promoting new growth. Their movements stir up sediment, redistributing nutrients. Freshwater turtles control populations of snails, insects, and small fish, maintaining balance in aquatic ecosystems. Even their nests contribute to the environment. Unhatched eggs and hatchlings that do not survive provide nutrients to the sand and the plants that grow there. Turtles are not passive inhabitants of their world. They are active participants, shaping and being shaped by the ecosystems they call home. The lifespan of turtles, as we have explored, is extraordinary. The oldest known turtle, a radiated tortoise named Tuai Malilla, is believed to have lived to at least 188 years, possibly longer. Jonathan, a Seychelles giant tortoise, is currently over 190 years old and still living. These individuals have witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the invention of technologies, and the transformation of the world. They have outlived countless generations of other animals, including the humans who have cared for them. Their longevity is not merely a curiosity. It is a testament to the success of their design, the efficiency of their biology, and the power of living slowly. But longevity is not the same as invulnerability. Turtles face many threats, and their slow pace of life makes them particularly vulnerable to rapid changes. Habitat loss, pollution, climate change, and hunting have all taken a toll on turtle populations worldwide. Many species are now endangered, their numbers dwindling as the world around them changes faster than they can adapt. The very traits that have allowed turtles to survive for so long, their slow growth, late maturity, and low reproductive rate, now work against them in a world dominated by human activity. A turtle that takes 30 years to reach maturity cannot quickly replace individuals lost to fishing nets, road traffic, or poaching. Yet there is hope. Conservation efforts around the world are working to protect turtle habitats, reduce threats, and help populations recover. Beaches are being monitored and protected during nesting season. Fishing gear is being modified to allow turtles to escape. Rehabilitation centers care for injured turtles and release them back into the wild. These efforts are slow, requiring patience and persistence, much like the turtles themselves. But they are making a difference. Populations that were once in steep decline are beginning to stabilize. Hatchlings are reaching the sea in greater numbers. The future is uncertain, but it is not without hope. As we continue to explore the world of turtles, we find ourselves drawn into their rhythm. There is something deeply calming about observing a creature that does not hurry, that does not rush, that simply exists in its own time. Turtles remind us that speed is not always strength, that patience can be a form of power, and that a life lived slowly can be a life lived fully. They carry with them the weight of deep time, the knowledge of survival, and the quiet confidence of a lineage that has endured when so many others have not. The slow rhythm of turtle existence extends into dimensions we haven't yet fully explored, into the quiet mechanics of their immune systems and the molecular secrets that allow their cells to resist the ordinary passage of time. When you consider that a turtle may live through centuries, you begin to wonder what protects its tissues from the accumulated damage that shortens the lives of so many other creatures. The answer lies partly in their remarkably efficient DNA repair mechanisms, molecular processes that work constantly and quietly to mend the tiny breaks and errors that occur in every living cell. These repair systems function with a thoroughness that surpasses what we see in shorter-lived animals, patching and correcting genetic material with patient precision. There is no hurry in this work, only steady maintenance, a cellular commitment to preservation that mirrors the turtle's outward calm. And turtles produce fewer free radicals than many other animals, those reactive molecules that damage cells and contribute to aging. Their slow metabolism, their low energy expenditure, means that the biochemical fires within their bodies burn gently, producing less oxidative stress. It is as though their entire physiology is designed to minimize wear, to reduce the friction of living. This quiet efficiency at the molecular level translates into tissues that age slowly, organs that retain function across decades, and a body that resists the deterioration that time imposes on most creatures. The turtle's longevity is not a single adaptation, but a symphony of small efficiencies, each contributing to a life that stretches far beyond what seems reasonable. Their immune systems, too, reflect this patient approach to survival. Turtles possess immune responses that are slower to activate than those of mammals, but once engaged, they persist with remarkable tenacity. Their white blood cells respond to infection with a measured intensity, mounting defenses that may take longer to mobilize, but that continue working steadily until the threat is resolved. This slow-burning immunity suits their lifestyle perfectly, allowing them to fight off pathogens without the energetic cost of a rapid, intense immune response. In cold conditions, when their metabolism slows even further, their immune function remains surprisingly effective, a testament to the resilience built into their biology. They can survive infections that would overwhelm faster-living creatures, simply by outlasting the invaders with patient, persistent defense. The turtle's heart, that slow and steady organ, holds further secrets. Some species can reduce their heart rate to just a few beats per minute when resting or hibernating, conserving energy with extraordinary efficiency. This cardiac flexibility allows them to match their circulation to their immediate needs, speeding up slightly when active, slowing dramatically when still. The heart muscle itself is adapted for endurance rather than speed, with cells that contract rhythmically for decades without fatigue. There is no frantic pumping, no racing pulse, only a calm, reliable rhythm that sustains life through seasons and years. The turtle's heart is a metronome of patience, marking time with a beat that never hurries. Beyond the heart, the turtle's circulatory system shows other adaptations for a slow life. Their blood vessels are less prone to the hardening and narrowing that afflicts many long-lived animals, remaining flexible and functional across the decades. The walls of their arteries resist the accumulation of plaques and deposits, maintaining clear pathways for blood flow, even in individuals that have lived for more than a century. This vascular health is partly due to their low metabolic rate and partly to biochemical factors we are still working to understand, protective mechanisms that keep their circulation efficient year after year. The turtle's blood moves slowly but surely, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every tissue without the urgency that characterizes faster metabolisms. Their blood itself carries fewer red blood cells than you might expect, a reflection of their modest oxygen needs. The cells that do circulate are remarkably long-lived, remaining functional for extended periods before being replaced. This slow turnover reduces the demand on their bone marrow, the tissue responsible for producing new blood cells, allowing it to work at a leisurely pace. Everything in the turtle's body seems calibrated for endurance, for a life that unfolds slowly and lasts long. There is no waste, no excess, only the minimum necessary to sustain function, delivered with quiet reliability. The turtle's ability to survive without food for extended periods is another facet of their slow-living strategy. Some species can go months without eating, drawing on stored energy reserves and slowing their metabolism to match the reduced intake. During these fasting periods, their bodies enter a state of careful conservation, breaking down fat stores with minimal waste and recycling nutrients with impressive efficiency. Muscle tissue is preserved as much as possible, with the body preferentially using other energy sources to maintain essential functions. This metabolic flexibility allows turtles to endure lean times without suffering the rapid decline that would affect animals with faster metabolisms. They simply wait, burning energy so slowly that their reserves last far longer than seems possible. When food does become available, turtles eat with the same unhurried deliberation that characterizes all their activities. They do not gorge themselves, but consume what they need at a measured pace, allowing their slow digestive systems to extract maximum nutrition from every meal. This patient approach to feeding means they can thrive on diets that would not sustain more energetic animals, finding sufficiency in modest amounts. The efficiency of their digestion, combined with their low energy needs, creates a balance that has served them well across millions of years. They have mastered the art of doing more with less, of living fully on limited resources. The turtle's brain, though small relative to their body size, is perfectly adequate for their needs. They possess good spatial memory, remembering the locations of food sources, nesting sites, and safe refuges across years and even decades. This long-term memory serves them well in their slow-paced lives, allowing them to navigate familiar territories with confidence and return to productive areas season after season. Their learning is gradual but persistent, with experiences accumulating over time to shape behavior in subtle ways. They are not quick thinkers, but they are capable learners, adapting their actions based on past outcomes with a patience that matches their physical pace. Some research suggests that turtles can recognize individual humans, distinguishing between those who feed them and those who do not, between gentle handlers and rougher ones. This recognition develops slowly, over repeated encounters, but once established, it persists reliably. The turtle's brain forms associations between sensory cues and outcomes, linking the sight or smell of a particular person with positive or negative experiences. This cognitive ability, though modest by mammalian standards, is entirely sufficient for their needs, allowing them to navigate social and environmental complexities with quiet competence. They are not simple automatons, but creatures capable of learning and memory, their mental lives unfolding at the same unhurried pace as their physical existence. The structure of the turtle's brain reflects their sensory priorities. The regions devoted to processing visual information are well developed, supporting their good color vision and ability to detect movement. The olfactory centers, too, are prominent, reflecting the importance of smell and finding food and mates. The cerebellum, which coordinates movement, is adapted for the precise, deliberate motions that characterize turtle locomotion. There is no excess, no elaborate neural architecture for rapid processing, only the structures necessary for their particular way of life. The turtle's brain is a model of efficiency, doing what needs to be done without unnecessary complexity. Their sleep patterns, though not as well studied as those of mammals, appear to involve periods of reduced activity and responsiveness that serve restorative functions. Turtles rest frequently, often remaining motionless for hours at a time, their eyes closed, their breathing slow and regular. Whether this constitutes true sleep in the mammalian sense is still debated, but it clearly serves to conserve energy and allow physiological processes to proceed without the demands of active behavior. Some aquatic turtles sleep underwater, surfacing periodically to breathe, while others rest on land or on floating logs. Their rest is as unhurried as their waking life, a seamless transition between states of quiet alertness and deeper stillness. The seasonal rhythms of turtle life are pronounced in temperate regions, where the changing climate dictates periods of activity and dormancy. As autumn arrives and temperatures drop, turtles in these areas begin preparing for winter, seeking out safe places to spend the cold months. Aquatic species may bury themselves in the mud at the bottom of ponds or slow-moving streams, while terrestrial species dig into soil or leaf litter, finding spots where they will be protected from freezing. This preparation is not frantic but methodical, the turtle moving deliberately to find the right location, testing the substrate, ensuring the depth and insulation are adequate. Once settled, they enter a state of brumation, the reptilian equivalent of hibernation, their metabolism slowing to a crawl as they wait out the winter. During brumation, a turtle's physiological activity drops to levels that seem barely compatible with life. Their heart rate may fall to just a few beats per minute. Their breathing becomes imperceptible, and their body temperature matches the surrounding environment. In this state, they require almost no energy, surviving on stored reserves accumulated during the warmer months. Their tissues tolerate the cold with remarkable resilience, avoiding the damage that would destroy the cells of less adapted species. Some turtles can survive being partially frozen, their body fluids turning to ice without rupturing cell membranes, a feat of biochemical engineering that still astonishes researchers. They endure the winter not by fighting it, but by yielding to it, by slowing down so completely that the cold cannot harm them. When spring returns and temperatures rise, brumating turtles gradually awaken, their metabolisms slowly accelerating as warmth seeps back into their bodies. This emergence is not sudden, but gradual, the turtle taking days or even weeks to fully resume normal activity. They move sluggishly at first, basking in the sun to raise their body temperature, eating sparingly as their digestive systems come back online. There is no rush to make up for lost time, only a patient return to the rhythms of active life. The turtle's ability to transition between these extreme states, to slow down to near stasis and then resume function without damage, is a testament to the robustness of their biology. In warmer climates where winters are mild, turtles may remain active year-round, though their activity levels still fluctuate with temperature. Even without the dramatic dormancy of brumation, they slow down during cooler periods, spending more time basking and less time foraging. Their lives are always attuned to the thermal environment, their behavior shaped by the availability of warmth. This thermal dependence, rather than being a limitation, is a strategy that has allowed turtles to thrive in diverse climates, from tropical rainforests to temperate woodlands to arid deserts. They have found ways to live slowly in every environment, adapting their already patient pace to local conditions. The turtle's shell, that defining feature, continues to reveal its complexity the more closely we examine it. The surface of the shell is covered with scuds, those keratinous plates that protect the underlying bone. These scuds grow throughout the turtle's life, adding new layers at the edges and sometimes shedding old, worn layers in a process that varies by species. Some aquatic turtles shed their scuds regularly, allowing algae and other growth to be removed and the shell to remain smooth and hydrodynamic. Others retain their scuds for life, the outer layers becoming thick and weathered with age. Each scute is a record of the turtle's growth, the patterns and textures telling a story of seasons and years. Beneath the scuds, the bony plates of the shell are fused to the turtle's ribs and vertebrae, creating a structure that is both skeleton and armor. This fusion is unique among vertebrates, a radical modification of the basic body plan that has proven remarkably successful. The bones of a shell are living tissue, supplied with blood vessels and nerves, capable of healing if damaged. A turtle can recover from shell injuries that would seem fatal, the bones slowly regenerating over months or years, new scuds eventually covering the repair. This capacity for healing reflects the turtle's overall resilience, their ability to recover from trauma through patient, persistent biological processes. The shape of the shell varies widely among species, each form adapted to a particular lifestyle. Aquatic turtles often have streamlined, flattened shells that reduce drag in the water, allowing them to swim more efficiently despite their generally slow pace. Terrestrial species may have higher, more domed shells that provide greater internal volume for organs and offer better protection from predators. Some tortoises have shells so heavy and thick that they are nearly impervious to attack, a mobile fortress that allows them to move through their environment with little fear. Others have lighter shells with more flexibility, trading some protection for greater mobility. Each variation is a solution to the particular challenges of the turtle's habitat, shaped by millions of years of slow evolution. The hinged shells of box turtles represent a further refinement of this defensive strategy. These turtles can close their shells almost completely, drawing their head and limbs inside, and then pulling the hinged portions of the plastron up to seal the openings. Once closed, the turtle becomes a nearly impregnable box, safe from most predators. This ability comes at a cost, however, as the hinges and the muscles that operate them add complexity and weight to the shell. But for box turtles, which often live in areas with many predators and limited escape options, the trade-off is worthwhile. They can afford to move slowly because they carry such effective protection, their shells allowing them to survive encounters that would be fatal for less armored creatures. The coloration and patterning of turtle shells serve multiple functions, from camouflage to communication to thermoregulation. Dark shells absorb heat more efficiently, helping turtles warm up quickly when basking, while lighter shells reflect more sunlight, preventing overheating in hot environments. Patterns of spots, stripes, and blotches can help turtles blend into their surroundings, breaking up their outline and making them less visible to predators and prey alike. Some species have bright markings, particularly on their heads and limbs, that may serve as signals to other turtles, conveying information about species, sex, or reproductive status. The turtle's appearance is never arbitrary, but always functional, each color and pattern contributing to survival in some way. The growth of the shell is tied to the turtle's overall growth, which continues throughout life, but slows dramatically after sexual maturity. Young turtles grow relatively quickly, their shells expanding as they add new bone and scuds to the margins. This growth requires calcium and other minerals, which the turtle obtains from its diet and, in aquatic species, sometimes from the surrounding water. As the turtle ages, growth slows, the additions to the shell becoming smaller and less frequent. Very old turtles may show almost no growth from year to year, their shells having reached a size that balances their energy intake with the demands of maintaining their body. This indeterminate growth, this lifelong but slowing expansion, is another aspect of the turtle's patient approach to life. The weight of the shell is a significant consideration for any turtle, influencing how they move and how much energy they expend. Aquatic turtles benefit from the buoyancy of water, which supports the shell's weight and makes movement easier. On land, the same turtle would struggle under the burden. moving even more slowly and tiring quickly. Terrestrial turtles and tortoises have evolved stronger limbs and different gaits to carry their shells efficiently on land. But even so, the weight is always a factor. They cannot run, cannot leap, cannot move with the agility of lighter animals. But they do not need to. Their shells make speed unnecessary, providing protection that allows them to survive at their own measured pace. Some turtles have evolved reduced shells, trading protection for mobility in environments where speed or flexibility is more valuable. Soft-shell turtles have shells covered with leathery skin instead of hard scuds, making them lighter and more hydrodynamic. These turtles are among the fastest swimmers in the turtle world, capable of quick bursts of speed to catch prey or escape danger. Their soft shells are more vulnerable to injury, but their increased mobility compensates, allowing them to avoid threats that a slower turtle would have to endure. Even within the turtle lineage, there is diversity in how the balance between protection and mobility is struck, each species finding its own solution to the challenges of survival. The turtle's limbs, whether adapted for swimming or walking, are built for endurance rather than speed. The bones are thick and strong, the joints stable and durable, the muscles designed for sustained effort rather than explosive power. A turtle can walk for hours without tiring, their steady gait covering distance through persistence rather than velocity. In water, their flippers or webbed feet propel them forward with regular, rhythmic strokes, each movement efficient and controlled. There is no wasted motion, no frantic thrashing, only the steady application of force that moves them through their environment at a pace that suits their needs. The claws on a turtle's feet serve various functions depending on the species. Terrestrial turtles use their claws for digging, excavating burrows, or nesting sites with patient, repetitive scraping motions. Aquatic turtles may use their claws for gripping slippery surfaces, for manipulating food, or, in some species, for elaborate courtship displays where the male vibrates his long claws in front of the female's face. These claws grow continuously throughout the turtle's life, wearing down through use, but always being replaced from the base. In captivity, where natural or maybe insufficient, the claws can become overgrown, a reminder that the turtle's body is adapted for a life of constant, low-level activity in natural environments. The skin of a turtle, visible on the head, neck, and limbs, is often thick and scaly, providing some protection against abrasion and attack. The scales are not like those of snakes or lizards, but are distinct structures, sometimes quite large and prominent, especially on the limbs and head. The skin can be brightly colored in some species, with reds, yellows, and oranges decorating the head and neck, while in others it is muted and cryptic, blending with the environment. The skin sheds periodically, though not all at once as in snakes, but in small patches as new skin grows beneath. This shedding is part of the turtle's ongoing maintenance, a slow renewal that keeps the skin functional across the years. Turtles have limited ability to regulate their body temperature through physiological means, but they are masters of behavioral thermoregulation. They move between sun and shade, between water and land, between depths and surfaces, constantly adjusting their position to maintain an optimal temperature range. This behavioral flexibility allows them to thrive in environments with fluctuating temperatures, using the landscape itself as a tool for temperature control. A turtle basking on a log is not simply resting, but actively warming its body, raising its metabolism to support digestion, immune function, and other physiological processes. When sufficiently warm, it will slide back into the water or move into shade, preventing overheating. This dance between warmth and coolness, between activity and rest, is a central feature of turtle life. The social lives of turtles, though less complex than those of mammals or birds, are not entirely solitary. Some species show preferences for basking in groups, multiple individuals crowding onto a log or rock to share the available space. This aggregation may provide some benefits, such as increased vigilance against predators, with many eyes more likely to spot approaching danger. It may also be simply a matter of limited basking sites, with turtles tolerating each other's presence to access the best spots. There is little interaction beyond this tolerance, no grooming or cooperative behavior, but the willingness to share space suggests a basic level of social awareness. During the breeding season, social interactions become more pronounced. Males may compete for access to females, engaging in pushing matches or biting contests that are rarely injurious but establish dominance. The winner gains the opportunity to court the female, though she retains the final choice of whether to mate. Courtship itself varies widely among species, from the gentle head bobbing and stroking of some aquatic turtles to the more vigorous and sometimes aggressive approaches of tortoises. The female's acceptance is signaled by her willingness to remain still and allow the male to mount, a decision she makes based on factors we do not fully understand, perhaps related to the male's size, health, or persistence. After mating, the female's body begins the slow process of developing eggs, a task that requires significant energy and resources. She must accumulate enough calcium to form the shells, enough protein and fat to provision the yolks, enough energy to support the physiological demands of egg production. This process can take weeks or months, during which the female may increase her feeding or draw on stored reserves. When the eggs are ready, she embarks on her nesting journey, leaving her usual habitat to find suitable soil for digging. This journey may be short or long, depending on the species and the landscape, but it is always undertaken with the same deliberate determination that characterizes all turtle movements. The nesting process itself is a marvel of patient, instinctive behavior. The female uses her hind legs to excavate a flask-shaped chamber in the soil, digging with alternating scoops that remove earth with surprising precision. She cannot see what she is doing, working entirely by touch, shaping the chamber to the right depth and width through sensory feedback from her legs. This digging can take hours, the turtle pausing frequently to rest, but always resuming until the nest is complete. Once satisfied with the chamber, she positions herself carefully and begins laying eggs, each one emerging slowly and being guided into place by her hind feet. The eggs are soft-shelled in some species, hard-shelled in others, each one a perfect oval of potential life. After laying, the female covers the nest with the excavated soil, using her hind legs to push earth back into the hole and then patting it down with her plastron. She may spend additional time camouflaging the site, scattering leaves or debris to hide the disturbed soil from predators. Once finished, she leaves, returning to her usual habitat with no further investment in the eggs. Her maternal care ends at the moment of nest completion, the eggs left to develop on their own, warmed by the sun and protected only by their burial. This abandonment is not neglect but strategy, a recognition that her presence would draw attention to the nest and that the egg's best chance lies in being forgotten, hidden in the earth until they are ready to hatch. The developing embryos within those eggs grow slowly, their development rate determined by the temperature of the surrounding soil. In warm conditions, development proceeds relatively quickly, with hatchlings emerging in a matter of weeks. In cooler conditions, it may take months, the embryos growing incrementally as warmth allows. This temperature-dependent development means that nests laid at different times or in different locations will hatch at different times, spreading out the emergence of young turtles and potentially reducing competition or predation pressure. The embryos are patient, waiting within their shells for the right moment, their bodies forming slowly in the darkness of the nest. As hatching time approaches, the embryos absorb the remaining yolk, drawing the last nutrients into their bodies to fuel their first days of independent life. They develop an egg tooth, a small, sharp projection on the snout used to break through the shell. When ready, each hatchling begins the slow process of pipping, using the egg tooth to create a small hole in the shell, then gradually enlarging it by pushing and twisting. This process can take hours or even days, the hatchling resting frequently as it works. There is no hurry, no frantic struggle, only persistent effort applied patiently until the shell gives way and the hatchling emerges, wet and exhausted, into the confines of the nest chamber. The hatchlings do not immediately dig to the surface, but may remain in the nest chamber for days, absorbing the last of their yolk sacs and waiting for conditions to be favorable for emergence. In some species, they wait for cooler evening temperatures or for rain to soften the soil, making digging easier. When they do begin their ascent, they work together, the movements of multiple hatchlings helping to loosen the soil above them. This cooperative digging is not coordinated in any conscious sense, but is an emergent property of many small turtles moving upward in a confined space. Gradually, they reach the surface, emerging into a world that is vast and dangerous and full of possibility. The journey from nest to safety is one of the most perilous times in a turtle's life. Hatchlings are tiny and vulnerable, with soft shells that offer little protection against predators. Birds, mammals, snakes, and even large insects may prey on them as they make their way from the nest to water or cover. Their survival depends on timing, on emerging at a moment when predators are less active, and on moving as quickly as their small legs can carry them towards safety. Even at this young age, they move with the characteristic turtle gait, steady and determined, their instincts guiding them toward the habitat they will need to survive. Those that reach safety face years of slow growth, gradually increasing in size as they feed and avoid predators. Juvenile turtles are more active than adults, needing to eat more frequently to fuel their growth. They are also more vulnerable, their smaller size making them attractive prey for a wider range of predators. Many do not survive to adulthood, falling victim to predation, disease, or environmental hazards. But those that do survive carry forward the patient strategies of their species, eventually growing large enough and strong enough that few predators pose a threat. They settle into the slow rhythms of adult life, feeding, basking, and moving through their territories with the unhurried confidence of creatures that have time on their side. The story of turtles carries us deeper still into the quiet places where biology meets something almost like wisdom. These creatures, moving through their centuries with such unhurried grace, remind us that survival is not always about speed or strength. Sometimes it is about patience, about the capacity to wait, to endure, to simply continue when the world around you rushes and changes and transforms beyond recognition. There's something profoundly calming in the way a turtle exists. Its body does not demand constant fuel. Its heart does not race with anxiety. Its cells do not hurry toward their own destruction. Instead, everything within a turtle operates on a different time scale, one that measures life not in frantic heartbeats, but in slow, steady rhythms that can span lifetimes longer than most trees. Consider for a moment the Galapagos tortoise, moving through its island home with such deliberate slowness that moss and lichen sometimes grow upon its shell. This creature may live for 150 years, perhaps longer. It has seen generations of other animals come and go. It has witnessed storms and droughts, volcanic eruptions, and human arrivals. Through all of this, it continues its simple routine: eating, resting, moving toward water, basking in warmth, seeking shade when the sun grows too intense. The tortoise does not worry about the future. It does not regret the past. It simply exists, moment by moment, in a state of profound presence that we might call mindfulness if we were speaking of human experience. But the tortoise achieves this state not through effort or practice, but through the fundamental architecture of its being. Its brain, small and ancient in structure, does not generate the complex anxieties that plague faster-living creatures. The tortoise experiences hunger, the need for warmth, the drive to reproduce. But these experiences unfold slowly, without urgency, without the desperate intensity that characterizes so much of life in the animal kingdom. And there's a lesson in this, perhaps, for those of us who live our lives at a different pace. The turtle shows us that slowness is not failure. Patience is not weakness. The capacity to wait, to rest, to move through the world without haste. These are not signs of inadequacy, but rather strategies that have proven successful across unimaginable spans of time. The turtle's immune system, as we have seen, operates with a patience that matches its lifestyle. When a wound occurs, healing does not rush. Cells divide slowly, carefully, with precision that minimizes errors. The immune response builds gradually, targeting threats with accuracy rather than overwhelming force. This measured approach means that turtles rarely develop the runaway cellular growth we call cancer, even when they live for more than a century. Their cardiovascular system, too, reflects this philosophy of patience. A turtle's heart beats slowly, sometimes just a few times per minute when the animal is at rest. Blood moves through vessels that remain flexible and clear, rarely accumulating the dangerous plaques that threaten faster-living animals. The heart muscle itself shows remarkable resistance to damage, capable of functioning efficiently even when oxygen levels drop to levels that would be fatal for most creatures. This cardiovascular resilience connects to another remarkable adaptation: the turtle's ability to survive in environments with very little oxygen. Some freshwater turtles can remain submerged beneath ice for months, their metabolism slowing to a level barely distinguishable from complete stillness. During this time, their heart rate may drop to 1 beat every 10 minutes. Their brain activity dims to a faint flicker, yet they survive, waiting patiently for spring's return. This capacity for metabolic suppression represents one of nature's most elegant solutions to the problem of survival during harsh conditions. Rather than fighting against scarcity, the turtle simply reduces its needs to almost nothing. It becomes a living pause, a biological ellipsis, waiting for the sentence of its life to continue when conditions improve. The molecular mechanisms that enable this state are complex and beautiful. Special proteins protect cellular structures during periods of extreme cold or oxygen deprivation. Glucose metabolism shifts to pathways that produce less waste and require less oxygen. Brain cells enter a protected state, reducing their activity without dying. The entire organism becomes a masterpiece of efficiency, demonstrating that life can persist even when nearly all of its usual processes slow to a crawl. And when spring arrives, when ice melts and oxygen returns to the water, the turtle awakens. Its metabolism gradually accelerates. Its heart begins to beat more frequently. Its brain activity increases. The turtle rises from the mud, swims toward the surface, and resumes its life as if no time had passed at all. This ability to pause and resume, to slow down and speed up in response to environmental conditions, is one reason turtles have survived so many extinction events. When the world becomes hostile, when resources disappear, when temperatures plunge or soar, turtles can simply wait. They can reduce their needs, lower their expectations, and persist in a state of minimal existence until better times return. There's something almost meditative about this capacity. The turtle does not struggle against difficult circumstances. It does not exhaust itself trying to maintain impossible standards of activity. Instead, it accepts the reality of scarcity and adapts its internal state to match external conditions. It surrenders to the moment, not in defeat, but in a kind of biological wisdom that has been refined across millions of years. This wisdom extends to the turtle's relationship with food. As we have explored, turtles can survive for months without eating, drawing on stored reserves and slowing their metabolism to reduce energy demands. But even when food is available, turtles eat with a patience that reflects their overall approach to life. A turtle does not gulp its food frantically, worried that the meal might disappear. Instead, it takes its time, biting carefully, chewing thoroughly when necessary, swallowing deliberately. The food then begins a long, slow journey through a digestive system designed for maximum efficiency rather than speed. In a turtle's stomach, powerful acids and enzymes work gradually to break down tough plant matter or animal tissue. The process may take days or even weeks, but eventually, almost every available nutrient is extracted. The intestines, long and folded, provide ample surface area for absorption. Beneficial bacteria in the gut assist with digestion, breaking down cellulose and other complex compounds that the turtle's own enzymes cannot handle. This thorough, unhurried digestion means that turtles can extract nourishment from foods that other animals might find difficult to process. Tough grasses, fibrous aquatic plants, hard-shelled invertebrates, all of these become viable food sources for a creature willing to take its time with digestion. The turtle's kidneys, too, operate with remarkable efficiency. They filter waste product from the blood slowly but thoroughly, conserving water in species that live in arid environments and managing salt in species that inhabit marine habitats. The bladder can store waste for extended periods, and some species can even reabsorb water from stored urine, an adaptation that allows them to survive during droughts. Every organ system in the turtle's body seems designed for endurance rather than performance, for steady function rather than peak output. The liver, which processes toxins and stores energy, operates at a pace that minimizes damage from the very chemicals it must handle. The lungs, though simple in structure, exchange gases efficiently enough to support the turtle's modest metabolic needs. Even the turtle's muscles reflect this philosophy of efficiency. Muscle tissue in turtles contains high concentrations of proteins that resist fatigue. The fibers contract slowly, but can maintain tension for extended periods without exhausting their energy reserves. This allows turtles to hold their position against currents, to remain motionless while hunting, or to slowly traverse great distances without rest. The skeletal muscles that power a turtle's limbs are attached to bones that themselves tell a story of patience. Turtle bones grow slowly, adding thin layers year after year. In some species, these growth rings can be counted like tree rings, providing an estimate of the animal's age. The bones remain strong and dense throughout the turtle's life, rarely showing the brittleness or deterioration that affects many long-lived animals. This skeletal integrity connects to another aspect of turtle biology that contributes to their longevity: their remarkable resistance to age-related diseases. While many animals experience increasing health problems as they grow older, turtles often remain vigorous, well into what would be extreme old age for other creatures. A 100-year-old turtle may show few signs of decline. Its organs continue to function efficiently. Its immune system remains competent. Its ability to heal from injuries persists. This phenomenon, which scientists call negligible senescence, suggests that aging is not an inevitable process of deterioration, but rather a variable trait that evolution can modify. In turtles, natural selection has favored mechanisms that maintain cellular and tissue integrity over very long periods. DNA repair systems work diligently to fix damage before it accumulates. Antioxidant defenses neutralize harmful molecules that would otherwise degrade cellular structures. Protein quality control systems identify and remove damaged proteins before they can interfere with normal function. The result is an animal that can live for decades or even centuries without experiencing the rapid decline that characterizes old age in most species. A turtle in its 100th year may be physiologically similar to one in its 50th year, still capable of reproduction, still able to forage and defend itself, still participating fully in its ecosystem. This extended vitality has profound implications for turtle populations. Because adult turtles can reproduce for many decades, a single long-lived individual can contribute offspring to numerous generations. This reproductive longevity provides a buffer against bad years when environmental conditions reduce survival of eggs or hatchlings. Even if an entire season's worth of nests fails, the adult turtles survive and can try again next year, and the year after, and the year after that. The patience inherent in this reproductive strategy stands in stark contrast to the approach taken by many shorter-lived animals, which must reproduce quickly and prolifically before their brief lives end. Turtles have chosen a different path: slow maturation, infrequent reproduction, but extraordinary adult survival. It is a strategy that works beautifully in stable environments where patient accumulation of offspring over many years can build a sustainable population. Of course, this strategy also makes turtles vulnerable to rapid environmental changes or to threats that specifically target adults. When humans harvest adult turtles faster than the population can replace them, or when coastal development destroys nesting beaches, or when pollution degrades aquatic habitats, turtle populations can decline precipitously. The very longevity that usually protects turtles becomes a liability when conditions change faster than their slow reproductive rate can compensate for. Yet despite these modern challenges, turtles continue to demonstrate the resilience that has carried them through millions of years. In protected areas, populations can stabilize and even recover, given sufficient time. Individual turtles, if allowed to live their full lifespan, continue to reproduce year after year, slowly rebuilding numbers. There is something hopeful in this persistence, something that speaks to the possibility of recovery, even after significant decline. Turtles remind us that patience applies not only to individual lives, but to populations and ecosystems as well. Recovery may be slow, but slow does not mean impossible. The turtle's relationship with time extends beyond its own lifespan to encompass geological and evolutionary timescales as well. The basic body plan of turtles, shell, retractable limbs, toothless beak, has remained remarkably stable for over 200 million years. While the world around them has transformed repeatedly, while continents have drifted and climates have shifted and countless other species have appeared and vanished, turtles have persisted with only minor modifications to their fundamental design. This evolutionary conservatism suggests that turtles achieved an optimal solution to certain survival challenges very early in their history. The shell, in particular, proved to be such an effective defense that natural selection found little reason to alter it dramatically. Minor variations appeared. Some shells became more domed, others flatter. Some developed hinges, others remained rigid, but the basic concept remained unchanged. This stability across deep time offers a different perspective on innovation and change. We often think of evolution as a process of constant improvement, of endless modification and refinement. But the turtle story suggests that sometimes evolution discovers a solution so effective that the best strategy is simply to maintain it, to preserve what works rather than constantly seeking novelty. There is wisdom in this, perhaps, for creatures like us who live in cultures that valorize constant change and innovation. The turtle reminds us that stability has value, that patience and persistence can be more important than novelty, that sometimes the best response to a changing world is to remain grounded in principles that have proven their worth across unimaginable spans of time. The turtle shell, that ancient innovation, continues to serve its purpose with quiet effectiveness. It protects without requiring constant maintenance. It provides structure without limiting growth. It offers defense without preventing mobility. It is a solution that has worked for countless generations and continues to work today, a testament to the power of patient, incremental refinement over millions of years. And within that shell, protected by that ancient armor, the turtle's soft body carries out its life processes with the same unhurried efficiency. The heart beats slowly. The lungs fill and empty in their own time. The digestive system extracts nutrients gradually. The brain processes information without haste. Every system operates on a timescale that prioritizes endurance over speed, longevity over intensity. This integrated slowness creates a kind of harmony within the turtle's body. There is no conflict between competing demands for energy, no desperate scrambling to meet impossible metabolic requirements. Instead, everything proceeds at a pace that can be sustained indefinitely, a biological rhythm that can continue for a century or more without exhausting the organism. In the wild, a turtle's day unfolds with this same measured quality. A freshwater turtle might begin its morning by slowly swimming to the surface, extending its head above water to breathe. It might then swim to a favorite basking spot, haul itself onto a log or rock, and settle into stillness as the sun warms its shell. Hours may pass in this state, the turtle barely moving, its metabolism gradually increasing as its body temperature rises. Eventually, when sufficiently warmed, the turtle might slide back into the water to forage. It swims slowly through aquatic vegetation, occasionally pausing to investigate a potential food item. If the item proves edible, the turtle bites carefully, manipulates the food with its front limbs, and swallows. Then it continues its slow patrol, moving through its territory with no apparent urgency. As afternoon fades toward evening, the turtle might bask again briefly, or it might simply settle into a shallow area, partially buried in mud or hidden among plants. As darkness falls, its activity decreases further. Its metabolism slows. Its awareness dims. It enters a state of rest that is not quite sleep as we understand it, but rather a profound quieting of all systems, a biological stillness that will persist until morning light returns. This daily rhythm, repeated thousands of times over the course of a long life, has a quality of ritual about it. The turtle does not experience boredom or frustration with this repetition. It does not long for novelty or excitement. Its simple routine provides everything it needs: warmth, food, safety, rest. The turtle is content with this pattern, if contentment is a word we can apply to such an ancient consciousness. And perhaps there's something we can learn from this contentment, this acceptance of a simple life lived slowly. In our own hurried existence, we often feel that we must constantly do more, achieve more, experience more. We fill our days with activities and our minds with information, always rushing toward the next thing, rarely pausing to simply be. The turtle offers an alternative model. It suggests that a life can be full without being frantic, that existence can be rich without being rushed. The turtle experiences its world deeply, if slowly. It feels the warmth of the sun with its entire body. It tastes its food thoroughly. It moves through its environment with complete presence, aware of currents and temperatures and the subtle signs that indicate danger or opportunity. This depth of experience, unfolding at a slow pace, may be more satisfying than shallow, hurried experiences that characterize much of modern life. The turtle does not multitask. It does not divide its attention among competing demands. When it basks, it simply basks. When it eats, it simply eats. This focused, singular attention allows for a quality of experience that our distracted, hurried minds rarely achieve. Of course, we cannot become turtles. Our biology demands a faster pace. Our social structures require certain levels of productivity. Our minds generate complexities that a turtle's simple brain never experiences. But we can perhaps learn something from the turtle's approach to time, its acceptance of slowness, its patient persistence through changing conditions. We can remember that not everything must be done quickly. We can recognize that some processes, healing, learning, growth, unfold at their own pace and cannot be rushed without damage. We can appreciate that longevity, whether of life or of projects or of relationships, often depends on patience rather than intensity. The turtle, moving slowly through its century-long life, demonstrates that endurance is its own form of success. Survival is not about winning every competition or maximizing every moment. Sometimes survival is simply about continuing, about maintaining basic functions, about persisting through difficult times with the faith that better conditions will eventually return. And when those better conditions do return, the turtle is still there, ready to take advantage of abundance, ready to reproduce and feed and grow. Its patience is rewarded not with dramatic victories, but with steady accumulation of years, of offspring, of experiences, of life itself. This accumulation, so gradual as to be almost invisible in the short term, becomes profound when viewed across the full span of a turtle's existence. A single turtle, living for 150 years, may see its habitat transform multiple times. Forests may grow and be cut down. Rivers may change course. Coastlines may shift. Human civilizations may rise and expand. Through all of this, the turtle continues, adapting slowly to gradual changes, enduring through rapid ones, always present, always persistent. There's a kind of quiet heroism in this persistence. The turtle does not perform dramatic feats of survival. It does not fight epic battles or make daring escapes. Instead, it simply continues, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, doing what turtles have done for millions of years: eating, resting, reproducing, existing. And in that simple continuation, there is something profound. The turtle reminds us that existence itself is valuable, that the mere fact of being alive, of participating in the grand cycles of nature, of experiencing the world in whatever way one's consciousness allows, this is enough. This is, in fact, everything. As we near the end of our exploration of these remarkable creatures, it seems fitting to reflect on what turtles can teach us about the nature of time and life. In a world that constantly urges us to move faster, to do more, to achieve greater things in less time, turtles stand as living counterarguments. They demonstrate that slowness can be a strategy for success, that patience can be a form of strength, that longevity is often built on foundations of careful, unhurried living. The turtle's slow heartbeat, its patient digestion, its gradual growth, its extended lifespan, all of these characteristics arise from the same fundamental approach to existence. The turtle does not waste energy on unnecessary speed. It does not burn through resources in pursuit of short-term gains. Instead, it allocates its limited energy carefully, prioritizing long-term survival over immediate gratification. This approach has proven remarkably successful. While countless other species have appeared and disappeared, while the world has changed in ways both subtle and catastrophic, turtles have endured. Their ancient lineage continues into the present, a living link to Earth's distant past, a reminder that some solutions to life's challenges are so effective that they need not change, even as everything around them transforms. In the quiet presence of a turtle, we can sense this deep time, this connection to eras when the world was unimaginably different. The turtle's ancestors swam in seas that no longer exist, walked on continents arranged in unfamiliar configurations, shared the world with creatures we know only as fossils. Yet the turtle remains fundamentally unchanged, carrying within its body the accumulated wisdom of millions of years of slow, patient evolution. This perspective, this sense of deep time and patient persistence, can be profoundly calming. When we consider the turtle's timescale, our own worries and urgencies seem less pressing. The deadlines that loom so large in our minds, the anxieties that keep us awake at night, the hurried pace that exhausts us, all of these shrink to insignificance when measured against the slow, steady rhythm of a turtle's century-long life. This is not to say that our concerns are invalid or that we should abandon all sense of urgency. But perhaps we can learn to distinguish between true emergencies and the artificial urgency that modern life often imposes. Perhaps we can recognize that some things, our health, our relationships, our deepest projects, benefit from the turtle's approach: patient, persistent, unhurried attention sustained over long periods. The turtle does not worry about wasting time. It does not fret about efficiency or productivity. It simply lives, moment by moment, doing what needs to be done at a pace that its body and environment allow. And somehow, through this unhurried approach, it achieves something remarkable: a life that can span more than a century, an existence rich with experience despite its simplicity, a form of success measured not in dramatic achievements, but in quiet persistence. As you rest now, perhaps preparing for sleep, you might imagine yourself as a turtle for a moment. Feel your heartbeat slow, feel your breath deepen and become more spacious. Feel the weight of urgency lift from your shoulders. There is nowhere you need to rush to, nothing that cannot wait until tomorrow. Like the turtle settling into the mud at the bottom of a quiet pond, you can allow yourself to simply be, to rest, to exist without striving. The turtle's wisdom is available to all of us if we choose to receive it. We can slow down, at least sometimes. We can prioritize endurance over intensity. We can remember that a long, steady effort often accomplishes more than a brief, frantic burst of activity. We can appreciate slowness not as a failure, but as a deliberate choice, a strategy that has proven its worth across unimaginable spans of time. And when we feel overwhelmed by the pace of modern life, when we feel exhausted by constant demands for speed and productivity, we can remember the turtle. We can recall its slow heartbeat, its patient metabolism, its century-long life lived one unhurried moment at a time. We can remind ourselves that survival, success, and even flourishing are possible at a slower pace. That nature has proven this truth through millions of years of turtle existence. The stories of turtles continue, of course. There are countless individual turtles alive right now, each one carrying out its own slow, patient life. Some are basking on logs in quiet ponds. Others are swimming through ocean currents, following ancient migratory routes. Still others are buried in mud or sand, waiting out unfavorable conditions with the patience that characterizes their kind. Each of these turtles is a small miracle of biological engineering, a living demonstration of how life can be sustained over extraordinary periods through efficiency, patience, and remarkable cellular maintenance. Each one carries within its body the same ancient adaptations that have served turtles for millions of years, the same slow metabolism, the same efficient organs, the same capacity for negligible senescence. And each turtle, in its own small way, contributes to the larger story of life on Earth. By existing, by persisting, by slowly reproducing and raising new generations, turtles maintain their place in ecosystems around the world. They are predators and prey, herbivores and scavengers, ecosystem engineers and seed dispersers. Their presence shapes the environments they inhabit, creating niches for other species, influencing plant communities, participating in the complex web of relationships that characterizes every healthy ecosystem. This ecological role, like everything else about turtles, unfolds slowly and patiently. A turtle does not transform its habitat overnight. Instead, through decades of consistent presence, through thousands of small interactions with other species and with the physical environment, the turtle gradually influences the world around it. This influence is subtle but real, another example of how patient, persistent effort can create significant effects given sufficient time. If you are still awake, still listening, there are other stories waiting. Stories of other creatures, other phenomena, other aspects of the natural world that can help quiet the mind and ease the transition into sleep. But if you are ready to rest, if your eyes are heavy and your thoughts are slowing, then you can let this story of turtles be the last thing you consider before sleep arrives. Imagine a turtle, ancient and patient, resting at the bottom of a clear pond. The water above it is still. The mud beneath it is soft. The turtle's heart beats slowly, once every few seconds, a rhythm like distant, gentle drums. Its eyes are closed. Its limbs are drawn partially into its shell. It is safe, comfortable, at peace. You too are safe. You too can rest. Your heartbeat, like the turtles, can slow to a peaceful rhythm. Your breath, like the turtles, can deepen and become more spacious. Your thoughts, like the turtles' simple awareness, can quiet and simplify, releasing the complex tangles of worry and planning that occupy your waking mind. The turtle does not struggle against sleep. When darkness comes and its body temperature drops, when its metabolism slows and its awareness dims, the turtle simply allows the transition to happen. It does not fight to stay alert. It does not worry about what tomorrow will bring. It trusts in the fundamental processes of life, the ancient rhythms that have sustained its kind for millions of years. You can trust in these rhythms too. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to release its grip on waking consciousness. You do not need to force sleep to arrive. Like the turtle settling into the mud, you need only allow it, accept it, welcome it when it comes. The turtle's slow life, its patient existence, its century-long journey through time, all of this has been a meditation on the value of slowness, the power of patience, the profound success that can come from refusing to hurry. As you drift towards sleep, you carry this lesson with you, that slowness is not failure, that patience is strength, that a life lived at a measured pace can be rich and full and long. Rest now, like the turtle rests. Breathe slowly, like the turtle breathes. Let your heartbeat settle into its own natural rhythm, unhurried and steady. Let your thoughts become simple and spacious. Let the weight of the day drain away, leaving only the gentle darkness of approaching sleep. The turtles will still be there tomorrow, moving slowly through their long lives, demonstrating their ancient wisdom of patience and persistence. Their story continues, as it has for millions of years, as it will for years to come. And if you need them again, if you seek the calm that comes from contemplating these remarkable creatures, they will be waiting, patient as always, ready to share their lessons of slowness and longevity. For now, though, there's only rest, only the quiet darkness, only the gentle transition from waking to sleeping, from thinking to dreaming, from the busy world of human concerns to the timeless realm of sleep. Like the turtle at the bottom of the pond, you can let go, settle in, and simply be, trusting that morning will come when it comes, that life will continue at its own pace, that everything you need will still be there when you wake. Sleep well, rest deeply, and know that slowness, patience, and the long view are always available to you. Lessons written in the very biology of creatures who have mastered the art of taking their time. The turtle's heartbeat continues, slow and steady, a rhythm like a lullaby, a biological meditation on the beauty of unhurried existence. And you can let that rhythm carry you now, gently, softly, into the peaceful darkness of sleep.